So I'm recording this pretty much after I had read the excerpt, which I had done first, but this comes out of a book, Omnipotent Don't Ask, Don't Tell by William Dorsch, which I really suggest reading. It's one of the best books about why the Gacy case was a cover-up. It's a must-read. This is mostly a condensed down version of Sherry's retelling of events about what happened when her son had went missing. Now, this will probably be a part 1 of 2, maybe a part 1 of 3, I'm not sure yet. But nonetheless, I hope you do learn something from this video and take something from it. On the night of October 24th, 1974, Michael Marino would go missing, following meeting up with his friend Kenneth Parker at 2 p.m. His mother, Sherry Marino, would claim that when Michael did not return home that night, she could not sleep. The following day, she would contact the police department to report Michael missing. The information was written down and put into the missing persons system, though the police would tell Sherry to not worry, and that Michael was likely out still with friends having a good time, despite how unusual it was for him to not return home that night. Though, Sherry would take matters into her own hands as well as her daughter's in search of Michael, though nobody she stopped, including police, had seen her son, usually repeating the phrase about staying out with friends and having a good time. 2 days following his disappearance, Sherry would visit both the 20th and 23rd police districts in Chicago. She would ask the desk officers if they had seen him and was forwarded to Area 6 Youth Division to speak to an officer assigned to Michael's case. The first time, that same day, Sherry would go to the Area 6 Youth Division. She would be told by the officer assigned to the case, again, that it was likely her son Michael was simply out with friends. Following the lack of help from the police department, Sherry would continue trying to find her son herself, going down to the uptown area, stopping anyone she could to see if they might know Michael's whereabouts. This included officers. Additionally, Sherry would go down to Clark and Division, which was an area for the gay community in Chicago, as well as continuing to call weekly to the 20th and 23rd District, where she was redirected to the Youth 6 Division. As the months went on, Sherry would continue this routine, and much of the time, the Youth 6 Division, where Michael's case was assigned, would refuse to speak with her regarding her son's case. At one point, on one of her visits, one of the officers would tell Sherry that she must have been a terrible mother, and that when the officer had seen her son Michael, had attempted to approach him, he had ran. Following the arrest of John Wayne Gacy in December 1978, Sherry would go to Michael's dentist to obtain his dental records, and had sent these dental records to the Youth 6 Division, as well as an additional copy to the Cook County Medical Examiner office. For over a year, Sherry Marino would not know what happened to her son's whereabouts, but in 1980, this would change when Michael's identification would be confirmed as one of the bodies found in Gacy's crawl space by 2 police officers with the Niles Police Department, who had told Sherry Michael and his friend Kenneth Parker had been identified as body number 14 and number 15. Though, Sherry would claim in reality that she had called the medical examiner and police departments for months in regards to an update on his dental records, and would be told that they had not, and he was not a victim of John Wayne Gacy. Sherry, following this news between being told her son for 16 months was not a victim, would go to Dr. Stein's office, who was one of the primary medical examiners for the Gacy case, and asked to see an autopsy report, which she was sternly denied. Following this altercation, Dr. Stein would tell Sherry to just be thankful that she has a body. This would lead Sherry to continue to probe where she was told by the sheriff department to get on with your life because you have your son's body. So Sherry would go back to the Area 6 Youth Division, but would be met with further dismissal. Sherry, following being pushed off, would begin to threaten to take her suspicions to the media, which she had attempted to do. A month following this, between 6 to 8 p.m., Sherry would receive a knock on her door where she would be confronted by 2 Chicago police officers who told her she was being arrested for murder. Following this, she would be arrested and took to the Area 6 Division, where she frequented about the whereabouts of her son. She would be left in a room, handcuffed for several hours, where no one had came to visit her. Finally, a detective would come into the room, and she would ask them who she had killed, and that she would be told soon enough once witnesses arrived. Sherry would remain in this room until the following day, where she would be told again she would be talked to, this time by the same two detectives who had arrested her at her home the previous day, though she would continue waiting for an additional day until the morning, now making her time in District 6 over 2 days long. She would be told again that they knew she had killed someone and would be going to jail for murder, though they would again leave. Later, they would come back and show Sherry photos of an African-American man lying on a sidewalk who appeared deceased. She would be told, "Look at this man, he is the person you killed." She would be told she had done this with a shotgun and that she was a drug dealer. They would again leave the room for several more hours before returning again to tell her they had witnesses and that she would be put into a lineup. When Sherry was put into the lineup, she could see 5 African-American men sitting in chairs saying, "That's her. She's the one I saw shoot and kill him." Sherry would be told she would be charged with murder and left in this room for another night, until on the 3rd day she was told she could go home. Sherry is told during this process she was never asked to write a confession, fingerprinted, interviewed, photographed, or in a room with bars surrounding it. When Sherry's daughter was interviewed, she would mention that she would become aware of her mother's arrest following a conversation with the security guard of the apartment complex her mother had resided at, which she had gone to following Sherry not going to the hospital when her other daughter was sick. She would end up going to Area 6, where she would be told that her mother was not in custody. Though, while her daughter would use the phone in Area 6 to call for a cab, a sheriff in the Violent Crimes Unit would stop and ask why she was there, which she would tell him it was in regards to her mother Sherry being arrested, but that she was not there. The sheriff would state that she was there, but he did not know what for, but he would check for her. Following this, Sherry would be released shaken.